Hi, NARC troopers. Today I want to talk to you about the landmines and the hazards, the munitions that are left behind after the war ends. So you have to imagine that, there has been a war. All along there was, you just didn't know. You were participating in one. Felt like something else entirely. But in the end, it definitely became a very dangerous place, with guns being fired and bombs being dropped and atrocities being committed. So when you're with a narcissist, psychopath, sociopath, you have to learn to navigate after the war ends, after the discard, because you're on your own. People don't understand. The narcissist has ghosted you, erased you, summarily just totally annihilated you, torpedoed you, and you don't exist. You're dust in the wind. But no matter how many years pass, how many months pass, weeks pass, whatever, there's just, trauma is kind of something that I think stays with you for a lifetime. You just have to learn to live with it. I heard somebody talking about 9/11 recently, and she said trauma never really goes away, and the grief and the sorrow and all of that never really goes away. She said it just gets to where you can live with it more easily, and you manage it, and you live beside it, but its voices aren't so loud anymore. And I started thinking about that because, in the beginning, after you first realize what this is, and after you have been suddenly, abruptly, cruelly, ruthlessly discarded, or maybe you escaped, even better. Maybe you were one of the ones who managed to actually be strong enough to get away. Either way, once you're gone, you're living in a war zone where it's not an active war anymore. And so in those wars, like Vietnam, places like that. Remember, after they're over, they talk about finding things buried in the ground that go off. Like 50 years later, you're just walking along and you accidentally step on a landmine. And you look down and suddenly one of your legs isn't there, or your foot's blown off, or worse, and you die. And so these are definitely things that happen after a war. There's things that are left behind that can really mess you up long after the actual last shot has been fired. My ex used to say that. My husband, he would say, "shots fired," when I would say something, like when he felt I was attacking him or criticizing him. I thought there was a lot of comfort in being able to just be honest and have these honest exchanges. And that sometimes when things needed to change, that it was a good thing to speak up and just name them. Apparently not. Narcissists don't like that at all. It causes what is called narcissistic injury, which is the beginning of devaluation, which is the beginning of the end. Anyway, I want to tell you that those landmines are there, whether you know it or not, all over the place. And there are things that you need to be aware of that can trigger them and make you more susceptible to stepping on one. If you're not eating right, if you're not sleeping enough and you're tired and chronically fatigued, if you are indulging in alcohol or prescription drugs or other forms of self-medication, trying to anesthetize the pain, that opens you up to stumbling into a landmine. Things that you do that are self-sabotaging, breaking no contact, looking at their social media, reaching out to them, actually hearing their voice. Every time I talk to my ex-husband, I am just destroyed for a couple of days in ways that I'm right back to the panic attacks and anxiety and feelings of despair just consume me. But yet there's something in me that craves that so much that it's a price I'm willing to pay or something. It's crazy. And I know some of you may think that's crazy, and others of you are sitting there nodding, going like, yes, that's describing exactly the level of trauma bonding and addiction that I have to this man, or in many cases these days it's a woman. And I say these days because there was a time, like back when they first started writing about narcissism, early 20th century, like some of the most profound works came out about narcissism, and at that time it was mostly males. But that has changed, and they estimate that it's about 50-50 now. It's, I always speak of it as if they were males because that was my experience from my perspective. But I certainly want to acknowledge that there are a lot of men who are victims of narcissistic women who aren't just like, what woman isn't narcissistic, right? We're all narcissistic. Everybody, male and female. But I'm talking about having a malignant, toxic, pathological personality disorder and mental illness. That's different from narcissism. It's completely different thing. You can paddle your child, give them swats with a ping pong paddle or something. I don't know. I don't do that, but you could do that, just a swat with the hand on the rump when they do something wrong, or you could just beat them to death. And so there is a difference, right? It's like that with narcissism. Everybody has narcissistic traits, like the swat on the rump, but not everybody is a full-blown, malignant, toxic, pathological, narcissistic psychopath. I've read statistics on that, and they say these days, here again, most recent studies and research estimate that we're talking about maybe somewhere between anywhere from 2% to 12% of the population, and they always have the little caveat that says, you know what? Narcissists typically don't go for treatment. They don't get on the radar. And there's probably many, many more of them than what's actually documented and diagnosed and studied in clinical trials. So you're going to come across things. You may seem like, you're doing okay, and suddenly you hear a song. Or maybe there's no trigger at all. Like, you don't hear a song, or there's not something that happens, something you see or smell or hear or whatever, or think about. It could just be a thought, something someone says to you. Maybe it's nothing. Maybe it just comes out of the blue. But, it happens. There's intrusive thoughts that lead to just getting gobsmacked. You're not prepared for that because you think, gosh, the worst is over. I remember those days when I had tons of panic attacks and a lot of anxiety, so you're not expecting it, and then all of a sudden you hear that click, like that little tripwire or that little pin in the grenade or whatever, and it's under your foot, and that you're going to get blown up no matter what you do. There's no way to take your foot off that without an explosion. There's no bomb squad. You don't have a cell phone, or your battery's dead. You can't call for help. You're all alone. You can try to stand there. Many hours pass. And, sooner or later you're going to step off. And when you step off, kaboom, there goes the leg. Legs, plural. So it's like that. It's inevitable. It's going to happen. And it's not because you failed to manage yourself. It's not because you failed to sit with your emotions and your dysregulated part that needed to be managed. Maybe you're doing hard work to feel your feelings and to let them pass through you and to feel the pain and to come to terms with it and to do all the things that we're supposed to do, like allowing the feelings and sitting with them, digging a little deeper and asking yourself, why are you feeling this way? Are you okay? What's happening? So I just want to tell you, I was just scrolling through IGTV and came across Thai meditations, not Mendelssohn, but Massenet, I believe, Massenet, classical music, and I can't listen to it anymore. It's been 2 years and 2 months, and I can't listen to a lot of music. The only thing I can listen to is stuff from dance class, because I'm a dance teacher. I used to be a dance teacher, and I can listen to my dance class, Dance Jams music. I can listen to things I didn't listen to with him. I can listen to a very narrow swath of music, but by far the majority of music that I listened to in the past, I can't anymore. Anyway, I came across that, and it only took about 5 seconds of that to just for me to go from 0 to 100, and so that's normal. I want to say, I'm not one of those people that says I have all the answers, but I do have a lot of them. I do know what we need to do to recover. Doing it is the hard part. Doing it consistently is the hard part. But I do know what we need to be doing. And I say we because I'm in this with you. I'm going through it with you. 2 years and 2 months out. It's kind of like if you went to AA or NA or one of those, 12-step programs, and you have the sponsor. That sponsor has been through it. That sponsor has had a sponsor. They are recovering alcoholics that are in sobriety. This is kind of the same dynamic. I want to be your sponsor, your mentor, your helper, but I'm 2 years and 2 months away from my devastating moment of enlightenment. So I'm not completely on the other side, but that doesn't mean that I can't help. Not just from my experience, but from my studies, from my research. And I have a master's degree in guidance and counseling stuff. So, I do know things that I think can help both of us. And maybe you will move faster than me. Maybe I'm just have deeper things from childhood, or maybe I just have a weaker constitution or something. Maybe my attachment styles and my level of addiction is just a little worse, because I was married over 15 years to this not okay person who did a number on me. So I want to help, and I want to do this with you, and I have wonderful advice for you, and I'm going to get past this without any medicine, without taking a Klonopin, without, sitting around crying all night. I mean, it was a momentary click boom. It's a click boom moment. Let's call it that from now on. When you have a click boom moment. Whew, they're rough, right? But you do get past them. And then you try to be grateful and have joy somehow. And and just keep breathing. It's going to be okay. So I wanted to give you that message to tell you it's okay. You're only human. It happens. It's not weird. You're not crazy. It's part of recovery, part of the healing process. Sometimes you're going to have those click boom moments. All right, guys, keep going. Even if you're hobbling along, even if your foot's not there, you can keep going. You can. You know, let's say that we have superpowers and it's going to regenerate. You're going to get a new, better foot, a bionic foot. You're going to get a robot foot to replace that click boom. And then you're going to say, right? You're going to say, I don't need this. I don't need them. I'm okay. I'm healed. I'm free. And last thing, when you do get free, unlike them, where everything's either infatuation and idealization, devaluation, discard, they're just like this empty vessel that has to be filled. Unlike that, we can actually be healed. We can actually, like, do all the stuff that we need to do. We can. And when we do, and we're free, then we're going to be like real, healed, healthy people who can enjoy life as neurotypicals are prone to do, right? Because they're happy, because they're healthy, and we want to get healthy. And just the longer you stay with the narcissist, the less healthy you're going to be, whether you realize it or not. Yeah. So, yeah, I've had some weird music coming on. Did you hear that? That's kind of triggery. Hey, Google, stop. Yeah, much better. See, we can control these things to a large degree. When they happen, just take control and say, hey, say your name, say your full name 3 times. Take a bunch of deep breaths and say your name and say, I'm okay. I'm okay. All of this is going to be okay. It's okay. It's going to be okay. Just keep saying that. Say your name and then say, it's okay. It's going to be okay. And, you know, we may have some setbacks. We may have some click boom moments. Click boom. But we're going to get past them. And we're going to get that robotic foot, maybe a robotic leg. And then we're going to be like the bionic man or woman, and we're going to be able to jump tall buildings in a single bound. You just wait and see. You just wait and see. You gotta make yourself think that way, right? You can do it. You can. All right, that's it for today. I just wanted to tell you that. So let's just remember, keep going, and be hopeful, be grateful, have love in your heart, be forgiving, and be strong. Click boom. Yeah, no problem. It's gonna be okay. It's okay. You're okay. We're okay. Everything's okay. All right, much love. Bye.